For the folks online, I often ask what people would like me to talk about. And I asked before we went live. So a wide variety of topics, resistance and the concept of Shambhala and devotion, forgiveness, the unknown, speaking up for what we know to be true, opinions, what would Jesus do? All, various things were brought up. And there are some others that I'm not announcing because for time. But one of them was brought up, the word opinions, as well as speaking up. I did talk a little bit about this last week. I don't remember what I said last week. I swear it happens that way. So off the top of my head, I just know that we did talk about the concept. And I'll summarize that again and bring it into whatever's going to come up for today. But what's important to remember, and this is kind of cool as I'm tuning into this, when we become, the concept of conscious or being unconscious. And I've done talks, you can look them up on YouTube, but when the idea is sleeping is unconscious, awake is conscious. That doesn't mean oneness with God. In the earth plane, there's duality. So you're asleep, whether you're having waking dreams or sleeping dreams, you're still asleep in the earth plane. When you sleep at night, you're dreaming, right? But when you're asleep, you're awake, you think you're awake, but you're actually still asleep, dreaming that you're awake. So in the duality, you're asleep. We're not in heaven. We're dreaming that we're on earth. Part of us is in heaven, but the human self, the conscious of the ego self, all of that, we're seemingly here. And what I'm saying is we think a person becomes awake, they become a mystic and a master, versus people that are asleep. And I'm saying no. They're having a happy dream. That's all. But they're still asleep. You can't be completely awake in God and be walking around having a burger or whatever. You're asleep. If you're in the material universe, you have to be asleep. You see what I'm saying? It's an amazing thing because if you were fully awake, the universe would disappear. And then there would be this wave of bliss and you're with God again. And that's an amazing concept. And there's been theories around this, philosophical ideas around this. What would happen if philosophers, poets, and sit on a hill and describe what if, and oneness and love and waves, beach waves and all these things. And it's beautiful, but it's not the same as being home. Jesus does this thing. And all mystics, masters, saints, they're just people that learn to become awake in the dream, which is called lucid dreaming. But they're still in the dream. So you don't make a god out of any of them, the poets, the mystics, the priests, the saints, not even Buddha or Gandhi or Michael or Joe or whomever. We're all in the dream. The amazing difference, the role Jesus played, and I'm not pushing fundamental religion, I'm saying the role he played was not only to completely wake up, but also to awaken so much he becomes one with God again, but then doesn't say, man, that was a weird experience. Good to be back home. And God goes, well, just another trillion years, we might get some more of them. That sifting process, it wasn't going to work. What had to happen is one of us to wake up completely. And I don't just mean Buddha saying, I'm awake. That just means I'm awake in the dream. Jesus said, and I get that it's completely a dream and none of it's real. So we can talk about Jesus being unique. Jesus did healing that no other master ever did. Jesus accomplished things, even the yogis and masters at the time, they were going, he's the master of masters. He's the yogi of yogis. They got it. And is it just because competitively speaking, he did more healings? He did more, bringing people back from death or bringing himself back. Walking on water. Some of these things have been done by great masters. Bilocating, all these wonderful things. The difference was there's people that are in the dream that learned how to master skills of a yogi that could do incredible supernatural things. but they're still using the magic of this world to overcome these things. Jesus actually went, there is no world. The reason I can walk on water is not because enough breathing techniques and meditation visualization, and he mastered walking on water, which is things that some great masters did. One of the unique things about Jesus is he says, there is no water. The reason I could walk on water is because I don't believe in the water. The reason I can bring you back from the dead is there's no such thing as death. Do you see the difference there? This isn't mastering things of the world and awakening in this world. This is, there is no world, and I know that. But anyway, pass me some bread, please. Okay, good. And he plays the game. Let's pass the wine and go through the motions. And what an incredible being to say, I completely remembered, and yet I refuse to accept the complete remembrance without the rest of you. That's incredible. And also that's for good. It's not just philanthropic. It's also because he's saying, how could I leave without you? You're me. So I'm also here for me as well as you. That said, when we join with others in prayer, when we join with even a football quarterback for a moment joins with a receiver and they just feel this nice connection, that's a micro level of joining. It's not quite the same as joining one in forgiveness, but it needs to be given credit. Anytime two or more people are joining with one intention, whether it's a touchdown or a forgiveness, it's still joining. Yes, the forgiveness version is going to be far more powerful, far more real, but still joining is joining. And what I'm saying is every time you join, part of us becomes conscious more. Because you have to actually like a person enough to want to join with them. But to like a person means you have to become awake. If I'm asleep, I'm in death, I'm in hate, I'm in fear, I'm in separation, so I can't join with you. So kudos to anybody that joins. I don't care if it's a duet singing, parenting, whatever it happens to be. Kudos to it all. But realizing when I join, part of me awakens. Also give credit. Anytime you've noticed that you're joining, that's a choice you made. I mean, that's better than the old days when I separated from everything. Now, part of what I remember now I'm touching on from last week, the concept of labeling, I said last week. When you label something, it's an interesting thing. When you name it, a name is a summary of a label. A label is a summary of an opinion. An opinion is a summary of a judgment. And it's interesting because Adam and Eve, there's the story of the Garden of Eden. And then in the Garden of Eden, Adam's created. Adam is not a guy. It's a being that is androgynous. That's why it says we will create them in our image. And he shows up. Who's the them? Well, it means that you have, in a sense, you have many within you. That sounds, kind of schizophrenic, but you have within you at this time, you're etheric. A man-woman was created. Let's just use that story. So Adam is created, Eve not yet there. And one of the strange things that Adam's told to do, I want you to name everything. Or you're going to have to name everything, depending on how you look at it. So when Adam is falling from heaven and he's coming into the earth plane, he's already losing a bit of divinity. He's coming, yes, it's Eden, but it's not heaven. Remember, I talk a lot about these trifecta things of life. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Brahma, Vishnu, right? The concepts, Shiva, the trinities that exist. You also have 3 upper chakras, 3 lower chakras, and 1 in between. So there's 3, plus 3 sets. There's the trinities keep repeating in our lives. And if we think to, like how many parts of the bones there are, how many parts of the blood, the Trinity, 3 things keep showing up throughout life, reminding us that we're part of a Trinity. That said, Adam's in the earth plane and he's told, now, because you've dropped a bit from your total oneness with God, you're in Eden where God can visit you, but in heaven, God doesn't need to visit. you're in one with God. So there's Eden. And Adam is told now, all things need to be labeled. You know why? Because he's falling. There's no Adam and Eve. There's just a being that's androgynous. Once he names everything, he splits into two beings. Now Adam knows duality, male and female, or whatever forms of duality. You see? After he named everything, because naming causes you to separate from something. Now what's needing to happen, and that means we box it in. And this is funny because we do this out of anxiety. We think that, oh my God, I don't quite understand this. And I've seen people do this. I'm feeling love. Oh my God. Like I'm melting because somebody loved you. People get anxious about feeling loved. And I've seen this time and again. And it's almost funny, but it's too tragic to be funny. That people would have such a panic attack about fearing supernatural. When a scientist says there's no such thing as UFOs, when a scientist says there's no such thing as God or angels, you know what they're really saying is, I need there to be no such thing. I'm too afraid of them. You see? Jesus says in the diary notes to Helen, who wrote A Course in Miracles, he says, Freud was very religious. Well, Freud's the one that started this whole narrative about how religion is nothing but a superstition to appease mankind's shallowness. And yet, why did Jesus say he's very religious? Because he says he was so much believing in God, he was afraid of giving into it. So we do these projections. So we find this like, I really like this person. You admire them, you watch them, an author, a spiritual teacher, a musician, whatever. It's hilarious to me, but tragic that we have to find something, a flaw. We have to find a label, an opinion. You see, I have a judgment. It's going to become an opinion, which is going to become a label, which is going to become a name. And I've had this happen. I remember saying to somebody, I really admire when I've seen footage of Walt Disney, there was something childlike about him. Now the child in me went, I like this guy. And he just had this, sometimes he would skip and do things that a child would do. I understand. He's also a man and he's also a human and so on. But I remember saying this to people, this one period, I was like, I really admire, how light-hearted the guy seems. Oh yeah, but and they think you want them to tell you the label they have to take you down. And you're allowed to say, get behind me, Satan. I wouldn't literally say that, but that's what it means. It's like, why am I creating you telling me something to lose my love and respect for someone? Now, mind you, they're not appropriate for downloading negativity, but that's because they're messed up. Why are you believing it? And that's where it gets tricky. I've seen individuals, and I'll say, there's the one politician, Robert Kennedy, and I noticed, I just saw something about it, and I thought, there's something about his energy that I like. I'm not voting, I don't care, or talking politics. I'm saying, I see, and then somebody will go, yeah, but he's a liberal, he's a Democrat, he's blah, 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 blah. Did I ask you? What kind of underwear does he wear? Do I care? Fruit of the loom. Oh, cool. Why is that going to make or break? Leave me alone. Let me love what I love. And and this is for all of us. Your soul is trying to experience things at another level. Now, it's still up to you to be tactful when people go, yeah, but. Because there's a part of you that's going to, really and buy into it, which means you failed your test today. Part of you also might be, well, I've learned to find my voice. One of you asked about speaking up for the truth and so on. Be careful. Speaking up doesn't mean yelling. It doesn't mean shouting. It doesn't mean venting. So speaking up means find the truth. Now watch. The truth and then share it. But the truth of God is never beat on people, slammed on people. What you're finding is your truth, which means your opinions. And now you're arguing with people. You got hooked into an argument. Well, I just need, you need to honor my truth and so on. This gets very tricky. The concept of, and this is a real big part of what I can see downloading here. We all have to go, there's the threesome again, the trifecta, the Trinity, these three parts. You have an unhealthy part, a healthy, and a heavenly. The unhealthy is called hell. Hell, healthy, heavenly. Now, yeah, huh? Well, I can feel, yes, Jesus, I can feel it. Hell, healthiness, heavenly. Heavenly, you're not, don't expect that 24/7. Just relax. That's okay. When I say hell, healthier, healthiness and heavenly, I'm talking about what controls your labeling, your decisions. In God, there's no labels. In God, there's no water, hard, soft. There's no dense, non-dense. And not because God is both, which is what some people will mistakenly teach. Well, God is both reality and illusion. I mean, it's because they're ignorant. They don't know better. When a teacher says that, it means they haven't yet evolved to the point of believing that there can be just love, not something else, just love, just peace, just joy. Well, no, God is all, it's not going to work. You're not going to convince me otherwise. That's what your soul should be saying. Smile and go, oh, yeah, really? Okay. You don't have to correct him because then you're fighting truths. Now, hell, healthiness, heavenly. Heavenly is, in a sense, beyond words. Hell is where not just negative opinions about yourself and others, even your fake positive opinions are still part of hell. So you'll still have people arguing here about right and wrong and about what's true and not. Well, that's your truth. That's my truth. Well, we have to honor each other's truth. Blah, blah, blah. Down here in hell, people are always fighting. But in hell, they also pretend to not be fighting. And they'll use words like, well, I'll just, you honor your truth, I'll honor mine. Or let's just agree to differ. Which is nice because I'm glad you're not choking each other. But agree to differ means, like in a partnership, well, we've learned to compromise. No, I don't ever want to be in a partnership that goes, I don't like anything you say, but we'll compromise. I don't want that. I want us to get it and live connectedness rather than tolerating disconnectedness. And that's what you're doing. You're tolerating it. We used to not tolerate. Get a couple in counseling. Oh, things are much better. We used to not tolerate each other. Now we do. I don't want to say I do to somebody. Is that what they say in the vows? Jeff, when you do marriages here, do you say, and do you vow to tolerate each other? I can't picture that. Tolerate until death do you part. That sounds like hell. You'll put up with each other until one of you dies. Beep. And then you're like, thank God, now I don't have to tolerate them anymore. That's weird. It is. To me, it's just surreal. But the idea, one of you asked about that idea of surrendering to the unknown. Believe it or not, it's not just these three things I'm talking about. Hell, healthiness, heavenly. Healthiness is so unknown to people, it's frightening to them. They're actually afraid of knowing healthiness. Even if you say to people in your life, family, I'm no longer you don't have to use my examples. You use your own wording. But I'm not wanting to live in hell anymore is what you're saying to your partner, your kids, your family members, your whomever, employers, employees. I'm done living in hell where opinions, we should have New Year's party for the family on this day. Well, no, I think we should have it on this day. Well, let's compromise. It's still hell. if you even come to a compromise. It's better than hating. It's better. It's an improvement. Less violence, less screaming perhaps, but it's still not healthiness. Healthiness doesn't come from settling. Healthiness comes from, I'm done arguing this point. I'm done wrestling with the situation. I'm going to go here. And I've said this many times. You go here and you let the world know you're living here now. Where's that chakra? Does anybody know? The heart. The lower three chakras are all this, where you are sharing your physical experience, your emotional needs, your intellectual opinions. 3 chakras. That's still humanness. Where is the love? Where's the heart? Where's the soul? So when you say, I'm done arguing, we need to settle, you don't realize you tricked yourself into staying in hell, but you improve things a little. You see the difference? It's an improvement, but you're still here. So there's truly being in hell, but there's also a false version of good. So there's truly negative, unhealthy, but it's also unhealthy to be falsely positive. You see? When you go to the heart, something major changes. When I'm down at the lower level, I'm still labeling and I'm still analyzing. Analyzing. There's a reason why anal is part of that word. Anal retentive, obsessive, judging, constricting. It's just so strange. But in the analysis, what I'm doing when I analyze is I'm actually telling you. When you see somebody needing to analyze something, overly label, etc. Now, mind you, there's a healthy way to do that on our way home. Here, you don't do any of that. But on our way home, there's healthy labeling. For example, I can see that I'm an addict and I need to work on this. That's healthy for now. Own it. I can see I'm the one who started this argument. What did I? Well, I did this or that. Own it. You see, without in the analysis, without recognizing there's a problem and breaking it down and analyzing it, you won't be able to get to the second level. It's a matter of, are you staying there over analyzing and judging and labeling? Like, I don't think there's any hope. I don't think we're going to succeed at this. Over analyzing, you're never actually in recovery. You're never recovering. If you keep analyzing that you're nothing but an addict of some kind, you never allow the peace of recovery. And one of the flaws with that, people that think they can recover alone and not incorporate God, people that think they can have relationships, we just love each other so much, we don't really need any of that. It's an accident waiting to happen. God is the consciousness that will take you to healthiness. You need God to get there. No, we're pretty healthy. We're very honest, aren't we? Yes. And we love the same, breakfast and dinners, and we laugh a lot. That's nice. And I do think that's nice. It's the highest version of this lowest level. So you're kind of, not fully engaged in hell. You're more like in the borderland part of hell, right on the verge of decency. That's not that bad. I'd rather have that than full-on war. But you cannot go to the soul or to heaven without God. You cannot. And somebody says, well, I believe, blah, blah, blah. No, I don't care. I'm talking, not you. So I don't care if you think you can accomplish greater prosperity without God, because economics. You're still talking stuff. The soul has a consciousness of abundance. Down here, you can have cash, but no consciousness of abundance. You can rob a bank and go, look at me. I got 10 grand. I'm prosperous. No, you're not. You're actually just a thief. And the Bible has that reference of those of you who think you can steal heaven, you'll just be bounced out. You can't fake it. It's real. It has to be authentic. So healthiness, in contrast to all the variations of living in hell, the heart is healthiness. And when you say, I'm done with these old patterns, they're saying, well, yeah, but you're our son, you're our brother. Yeah, but you're just my dad. I'm not interested. When my own kids would try to pull me in their youth, when they would try to pull me into something, well, we can't listen to you because you're our dad. You know what I said to them? Then I won't be your dad anymore. Right. That's cool, isn't it? And some of you were like, oh my God, I know. And they've all been in therapy. And I'm good with that. They've all been in therapy. But they know that I was right. Because what I said was, if being your dad will not allow you to let me help you, I'll take away dad and just be helpful. All I care about is being helpful. If being a male you don't allow, then I'm not a male. If being a female, then I'm not a female. A human, I'm not a human. Whatever race, whatever sign of the zodiac, whatever's going to get in the way of you listening to what I have to share, get rid of it so that I can just share. Now, if my sharing doesn't resonate, great, that's fine. Find someone that does. But I'm not going to be the one putting the labels there that get in our way, even my own children. You see what I mean by that? And it's the same thing with Jesus saying, because you know me in Jerusalem, I can't work as many miracles here because you've got labels on me. As soon as you label, remember, judgment, opinions, labels, names, as soon as you name something, you push it away. The opposite of joining is merging, right? The opposite of separating is joining and merging. To do that, if I label something, it's separated. I'm here and it is an it and it's there. It's not with me. To heal it, you have to open the box you put it in and breathe it in and become one with it. Think about that. I don't know. What is a rainbow? Oh, well, it's a little variation of color spectrum, blah, 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 and you just analyzed it scientifically. Ask a child, what do you see? Pretty colors. It's coming from here. Like, oh, look how pretty. They don't go, well, I think it's light bent within moisture within the sky. They don't talk about the it. They talk about the beauty. That's more of a heart nature. I don't know if you know this, but it's commonly believed, and it's growing in popularity, that ancient cultures didn't actually see some colors. Some cultures never had Greek, Roman, they didn't have blue as a word. Now they're going, well, is it because they couldn't see blue? That they didn't make up a word for it? And see, what I'm saying is, the more we fall, the more we name new things, more colors. Now there's even more colors. Now, is it bad and wrong that they couldn't see? Well, actually, for example, purple is purple. There's not many variations. There's all kinds of variations to red. Whether it's crimson, whether it's some other, there's lots of variations. So the denser a color, the more names for it. Think about that as a metaphor. The denser things are, the more names we need. The more subtle they are, the more we don't know. Just give it at least one name. But the other name, the higher colors, spectrum-wise, have less names, and it's believed they weren't even known, maybe not even perceived in other cultures, which seems impossible, but it is possible. Because the denser things are, the more we can experience. They're obvious to us. So we name them. And that's kind of what I'm saying about the child looking at a rainbow. There's a point where let it out of the box. Rudolf Steiner, teaching children, said, stay away from the linear 1 + 1 is 2. He would teach them, do you even know what 1 is? And then when they add 1 and 1 in, it's 2. What is 2? He's encouraging the children to experience 2. Now, I don't know about you, but my elementary school, if I would have said, teacher, could we experience 2? I would have been locked up. Dear, parents of Michael, we can't really have him at our school because when we tried to teach him, 2 times 2 is 4, he just started looking insane. His eyes got big and he kind of smiled. 4. And we don't know what to do with that. It's true. We're being taught to believe in the insane. As soon as you name something, you have limited the unlimited. Jesus taught us to say, I don't know. What's 2 times 2? I don't know. You'd fail every math test. But what we mean by that is, well, I don't want to know intellectually. Let's go in and find out. And that's what it is to channel like this, just letting things be, to not analyze them. But yet there's times when I'll say there's 3 of these and 4, because it helps organize it for the human mind. That's giving it a positive twist, I guess you could say, to help, because you're using it as a bridge. But when you use the analysis to separate rather than bridge, it has only negative outcomes. We actually push things away. It's really kind of remarkable. Naming things so we can push them away. What is that? Well, it's a pencil. You just named it, which is beneath that is a label, which beneath that is an opinion, beneath that is a judgment. Now, do you think the judgment, you would assume the judgment means you're judging the pencil. What about myself? I cannot know myself if I have labels. Michael, tell us about yourself. Oh, blah, 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 single, married, blah, 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 this, that, brown hair or whatever. Those are all opinions, believe it or not. They're names of labels, of opinions, of judgments. Does that mean when I say I'm male or female, that I judged male or female? It's interesting to understand what judgment really means. Before I labeled myself, I already have a soul level opinion, a judgment about myself. So when I tell you intellectually, Michael, tell us about yourself. Well, let's say I say that I'm this sign of the zodiac. As soon as I say I'm this sign, there's 11 signs that I'm not. And underneath that, label, blah, 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 all that I said that before, opinions, a judgment that I am not a complete being. It results way down here as I'm a whatever sign. You see what I'm doing? As soon as I name it, I limit it, and I cannot have the unlimited when I have the limited. Are you what if you're raised and you have a sister and your parents said to you, honey, don't worry about your sister getting straight A's and you get B's and C's or D's or whatever. Don't worry about that because, you're the pretty one. Now, are you okay with that? Does that make you go, I'm one with God, I'm complete and whole? No, you're a thing, and now you have a label. Grow up with that enough, and it gets more and more intense. Because it not only means I'm limited to being pretty, or you're the smart one, which means my parents said I'm ugly. Honey, you're not a looker, but at least you'll probably be smarter and make more money than the pretty girl, your sister. I mean, that's weird. But these labels, these names, not only are they hurtful initially, you hear them, and then you start to believe them. Now you're in therapy when you're 50, trying to dig up why you tend to fail at certain things, and then the memory of your parents saying you're the pretty one or the smart one. It's all ridiculous. But somewhere in me, I already had a belief that I'm flawed. And that's why I bought into the label they gave me. You see what I just said there? You are partly responsible for this. Parents were inappropriate to give you a name, a label, but why did you believe it? Well, because they said it so often, and you could have rejected it often. In indigenous tribes and people that were living closer to the mother, earth, but the mother, divine mother, they would ask, what is the child's name? And these indigenous tribes, they would tune into the oneness, the all. What is the child's name? Let's ask. Child, what are you about? And whatever it happens to be, is the name that represents that. Now, at least you're still using names, but you're asking from a higher level for the name. I said, labels and names can be used to bridge or to divide. Bridging is the happy dream. It's not home, but it's the happy dream. So then all of a sudden it's like, and some of you changed your names because you're not that. You're like, When I use the names as an example, please don't be offended by if it happens to be your name. But, it's like I feel oneness with all life, all beings. I see angels and light beings. And then my parents said, we'll call you Chuck. No offense, Charles. But it's like, really? Immediately, okay. It's a funny thing, vibrationally speaking, how we have a knowing, just vibrationally. Men, women can have a variation, a style. The very idea that you're more creative puts you in a more right brain body and family or life. If you're more left brain, you're going to go in that direction. So the universe will comply to our beliefs about ourselves. I'm only saying, why not drop the labels? And then the universe has to go, I guess it's more infinite that we're going to bring you. We'll bring you the unlimited because you don't limit yourself. That doesn't mean I'm saying you shouldn't have a name. There's bridging. When somebody says, what's your name? I'm above names. You separated. You separated from them. You're not cosmic. You were rude. You separated. Honestly, you see what I'm saying? It's very tricky. But you separated. Bridging. So children are given names by some cultures because they're asking, well, why don't we ask the child? The Essenes, which is that really cool, eccentric sect of people that lived for hundreds of years as a community of Gnostics or New Agers of the time, around the time of Jesus and before, they would cast charts and get what's the child about? They never just said, well, you're going to be in the same career as your dad. We'll even call you Junior of your dad's name. That's the linear Western world, just like very unoriginal. What they would do is, and that's why the wise men knew of the birth of Jesus. These were master astrologers, but they also read all kinds of things. Lines and signs and, lines in the hand and signs in the sky, synchronicities, animal things, animal medicine. They were tuned into all. So when a child's born, let's name it and take it in the direction of based on what it's about. The child comes first, not, well, my mother's going to be mad if we don't name it after her. That's weird. So I was named based on your fear of your mother. It doesn't make sense, or your father, or whatever it happens to be. It's all very twisted. So instead, what is this about? Ask on a higher level, and you'll get a higher answer. So I love, I really appreciate some of these comments and questions every week. But the idea, speaking up, the idea of fear of the unknown. People fear the concept of the unlimited because we don't know what that looks like. You don't have to. If it's God, it's got to be better than this. Give it a shot. You see? Try, naming your children. What are they about? One of my children's name is Crystal. But because crystals are beautiful and crystals are, the symbol of a crystal. But we spelled it differently. Which has probably been to her dismay all her life because she has to tell people how to spell it. But we did that. And it's interesting. Her name, and then numerologically, it's not like I'm a 3 or 4. It's like a 77 or some master number I've never even seen in other people. But that's interesting because if we're tuning in and we give her this master number name and this unique spelling and a unique name, Crystal, what's she going to be like? She was like that. Just always these blue eyes. People would constantly stop. They would say she looks like an angel. It was really higher dimensional being, this kid. And she would just be so sweet and so different vibration. But try to get the ethereal Crystal into the car on time to go to school. And it was like, where is she? Nobody knows. And she'd be like, didn't you know I'd be about my father's business? So watch what you plan. You try to name your children, Almighty Lord, and it's going to grow up believing it's all. And now you got that. So sometimes just call it Chuck. Sometimes just, George Foreman. The George Foreman grill. He had 8 kids and he named them all George. How is that not it's a true story. How is that not the weirdest thing you've ever heard when it comes to child raising? Because it's like, I'm just going to yell George and one of them will answer. I mean, if that's not efficiency. George, answer the phone. Somebody's going to get it. I mean, that's just hilarious, but also very strange. I'm sure there had to be some therapy around that too. So Adam names these things and it results in him dividing of the sexes, but dividing himself and Eve from Adam afterwards. And you and I, when we label, which comes from judgment, there's going to be an outcome of that. Some kind of manifestation of separation. Not feeling, as connected to people or not knowing how to connect with your children. People say generation gaps. There's no such thing, but people believe it. People will name things so that they can believe they understand it. Analyzing confirms that you're already anxious. Analyzing, you think, if I analyze and label, I'll have peace. Doesn't that make sense? In an irrational way. And yet, by analyzing it proves I already don't have peace. And the more I analyze it in the separating way, the more it shows how anxious I am. Not just of not feeling peace, but it also proves peace makes me anxious. I'm afraid of it. So let go. Try. Try what? I don't really like people. Try. Try one person today, eye contact. Nice to see you. When you're done, sit and go, oh, I didn't spontaneously combust. I guess I could own that connecting with just one. Got to be able to breathe. Don't tell me to do 5, just 1. Okay, but now we can try 2 next week. And eventually more people. You're still going to get your hand slapped once in a while. You're still going to have those upsets. Those are a drag because they throw us off. You're moving forward with these new techniques of love and unconditional love and peace and joy, and stuff still happens. You still get a flat tire, you still get a ticket, you still get ill, whatever it happens to be. And it's going to tempt you to go, well, I guess I wasn't as good or spiritual as I thought. You are. Stuff happens in this world. How you react to it proves whether or not you're getting the lessons that you're studying. So I'm going to still have labels. If you tell me your name, I'll address you as such. I almost never tell somebody, that's not your actual name. There have been times in readings where somebody says, hi, nice to meet you on the phone or in person, whatever. My name's, such and such. And I'll say, can I ask you, and I go further into that because I can tell that's not them. Somebody, either the person's adopted and didn't know it and they have a different name, or in some cases, someone gave you a name out of like a compensatory kind of level of consciousness. They were trying to fix something or repair things with somebody and named it after them. That's not you. And they'll say, I knew it. That doesn't feel like me. That's not who I am. And it's really beautiful to help people find that realization and revelation. Many of us have names that have nothing to do with us. But that doesn't mean it's horrible. It just tells us I have a bizarre past with bizarre parents that didn't know how to tune in. That's not too far of a stretch. And if you want to change it, then you change it. Well, what name should I go with? Well, I would say start with asking. So in this level, the final main point I want to make, healthiness. Now, when I say, I'm not going to label my sister as, because she's an addict. I'm not going to label people as much. I'm going to stay clean of that. Practice a little bit more, I don't know. Practice spotting when people, including myself, tempt me to label and judge people. Again, did the mailman come by today? I labeled, it's called a mailman. It's okay. It's not horrible. But if I say, the mail didn't show up, and you know how mail people are, They're always late. I mean, so live a life. The weatherman's always wrong, and they usually are. The weatherman is always wrong. The mailman is always late. So-and-so is always incompetent. Be careful. Because once you make that a theme, and so it is, somebody's got to, but let's see. You know, something like that. But let's try it differently. That one customer is always belligerent, and they might be. But they'll stay that way the more we label them that way. You try something else. Try to reprogram that thing. And take responsibility for the labels you have on yourself as well. If you tend to overreact and people say you overreact, well, that's only because you say that about me. You don't have to believe them. Yeah, you know, I think I used to do that a lot. I don't feel that way anymore. Look at what that does. It acknowledges that they're saying it, even if it's not true. You acknowledge what they're saying, and then you add something different. And it can plant a seed to change things. But when you say, I can see at the end of the year, beginning of a new year, I don't want to carry with me all these labels anymore. I don't mean don't ever have any, including your name. It's okay. It's okay to know your address. That's a label. Don't come to my house, go to yours. Everybody just home to your own address. It's okay. If you're diabetic, oh, that's a label. Listen, take your meds, take your insulin, do what you got to do for now. One day, you'll more and more get to understand that that's just a pretend label. It's just temporary. But don't try to fight the labels, because then you have another label. Passive aggressive or belligerent or whatever it happens to be. Peacefully let these things go. But one of them is that middle one, healthiness. You cannot go from hell to healthiness without God. You have to have a relationship with God. From addiction to healthiness, got to have a relationship with God. From codependence to healthiness, got to have a relationship with God. So that's part of it. You also have to have a healthy relationship with yourself, or you will not be able to shift to healthiness. If you don't have any self-worth, self-awareness, responsibility, you can't go to healthiness. Well, I thought healthiness is when everybody else is wrong and I'm good. No. You also can't move to healthiness without something called healthy boundaries. And that can disturb a lot of people. Because down in hell, you have all your family members or whomever, what at work or whatever it is, and you start to say, here's where I'm at. I'm moving into a place of healthiness. Value, respect for others, of course, as well. God gives me guidance. Here, I made rash decisions based on compulsions and addictions. Here, I say what feels right for me. So when you say to the family, I won't be coming to any more family gatherings and reunions. Why? You know, as they all arrive and, you know, snort something in that room, drink something in that room, vulgarity and whatever. And you just go, this is just not where I want to be. Now, you don't have to say, you guys are sinners and I'm a saint. That's the fundamental religion way of changing your life, and it doesn't work well. You talk about you. I'm not comfortable with some of the things. Don't name names. You know, Aunt so-and-so drinks, and that one snorts, and that one. No. Just say, I'm not comfortable with some of the things that go on. You don't think they know which things? Speak neutrally. Speak without finger pointing, because that inflames things and that separates. Speak about you. Instead of you guys never this, you just more and more, you center in God and self-worth. And you just say, this doesn't work for me. And there will be hell will definitely get inflamed and try to burn everybody for this statement you're making. And they'll even try to compromise. Well, how about if we arrive drunk and not drink in front of you? Oh, that'll work. No, that's still hell with a fake positive. You see? Healthiness. This in itself could be a weekend workshop. Just the word healthiness. It's a beautiful world. You know, it's half home. It's halfway home. I'm not totally in divinity, but I'm in healthiness. Even the guidance I receive is no longer rash, compulsive, addictive. It's inspired. And now it doesn't mean that, every time you have to make a decision, you're in the grocery store pushing the cart. Oh, look, there's this brand of toothpaste, that brand. Boom, and the ceiling of the store parts, and the angels come flooding through, surrounding you in a protective energy while God tells you, Colgate. That's getting a little too serious about it. What it is there's a knowing. Listen how this works. If I love and respect myself, what would I get at the store today? Probably something nutritious. But that's for me. If you're allergic to what I think is nutritious, it's not for you. This is what I'm looking for. So everything changes. Who you hang out with. You don't say, I'm not like that, I'm like this. You're still in the duality. You go up to this point. It's single-minded, single-focused healthiness. What would be healthy for me? We're having another reunion. There's always this fighting and hate. I'm going to skip it this time. That doesn't mean there's never flare-ups. People, how dare you? And it doesn't matter. Be true to your true self, your God self. Be true in here. That just doesn't work for me. I have no interest in that. When you get to this place, I think I'm going to stop choosing unhealthy partners and just try to find healthier partners where we compromise, we negotiate. My counselor said, they gave us a book, How to Negotiate Partnerships. I hope there's no such book because I don't mean to be dissing it. But, how to negotiate communication, partnerships, whatever. I don't want to negotiate. What am I, a union? No, like some labor union. I want to know, where are we at? How can the two of us become a we? And if you don't join me, I'm going there anyway. I can say this to one of you or all of you around the world or in the room. Here's where I'm going, right here. Would you like to join me there? No, what we want is to take you and bring you down to real hell or, fake good, and all that. We want you to come down and argue these points. You're going to die frustrated waiting for me to do that because it's not going to happen. I cannot, generally speaking, I personally cannot be dragged into this weirdness. I dip a toe in there for sure, but I can't be dragged full on into weirdness, into hate, even fake love. I'm going to say, where is this at in here? And you're getting there when you truly can say, I don't care if anybody else joins me here. And that sounds weird because some are like, oh, Michael, you had us until that. Because I still want someone to get in there with me. That's codependence, and it's not of the heart. It's of the body. It's of the humanness. It's of the ego. It's of lack thinking. I'm sorry to say. Well, does that mean you can't have? No, that's extreme. It's just that you say, nice to meet you. Here's where I'm at. And most will run away screaming. When you say, no, I don't really go to bars, or I don't really want to get drunk, or a lot will just run away. When they can't drag you into their little things, they'll leave. But if you don't understand the value of that, then you're faking it and you're down here without realizing it. You're still down in the fake positives. Here, it's not, I hope I'll find somebody else who's here. The thought never enters because you feel complete. You feel healthy. And you use that mantra, healthiness, in your decision making. Does this resonate with healthiness? And in closing, you're going to have somebody who say, when you speak up and say, sorry, I'm wanting healthiness. Kids, you're living in my house. From now on, it's not mom against you, dad against you. From now on, it's healthiness. And you can even sit down with the kids and say, let's all describe, what does healthiness look like? If they're of age and they speak accordingly. What's healthiness? Happiness, good. Happiness. What else? Fun. And you write down words that even they can relate to. And then when they screw around, you'll take them to the refrigerator and say, now, where did hitting your sister fit in with happiness and joy? It didn't. Good. See, you've taught them how to go here and measure something. It doesn't weigh out. It doesn't work out. So that was, and you can educate them that way. And if it has to be your husband, come here. See that? See that? Where in our healthiness chart do you see cheating? Where in there? Well, it could fit under happiness. Really? Really? Because I'm not feeling very happy. You did something that separated us, and now we have to do something about it. I don't mean end. I don't mean stay. I don't know. I have to go in here and see. How does that resonate? So remember, healthiness, your mantra, you're going to have people. It happens to everybody I have this conversation with in counseling. You're going to have somebody say, and it's very clever and predictable, but who are you to decide what's healthy for us? Does that make sense? That you're going to get that? You can see that coming, right? And you say, oh, I'm sorry. I never said what was healthy for you. I said I need to go with what's healthy for me. And I'm telling you with 100% conviction, they cannot and have no right to tell you your belief in healthiness is wrong because it's yours. And theirs is theirs. They might say, hey, man, for me, healthiness is abandon. Just cheat and drugs and abandon is my version of healthiness. And you know what? Very clearly, they're down in the false positive. They're not truly here, but you don't tell them that. Let them be unless they ask. Let them be. To thine own self be true, not to their own self be true. To thine own self. Making sense? And just know how beautiful. God, I'm halfway home when I honor what feels right on a word that everybody can get. Healthiness. I didn't say cosmic oneness. Healthiness, because you can wrap your mind around what I'm doing in my life right now doesn't feel healthy. And if you look back, and I guess we will in meditation here, you'll be able to, it's so much clearer now just using that word. Please take a few centering breaths. Referred to as healthy, whether it's diet, partnership rules, monogamy, no drinking, whatever. Just come up with a few in your mind. What things did you live believing it defined or was defined by the word healthiness? Take a moment and be honest and look at some of the things in your past that you labeled as probably healthiness oriented and how some of them might have been incorrect. You might have thought you had a healthy partnership and it wasn't. You might have thought you set healthy boundaries by speaking up more. You lived healthiness by speaking up, but you were actually maybe there was a charge, maybe there was a reaction. Maybe it was venting. Just spot it. It's just not real for me anymore. easy for you to conjure up memories of what unhealthiness looked like. Name just a few of those in your mind. Unhealthiness, blatant unhealthiness. Oops. Yeah, I did this and that. Probably not unhealthy. Probably not healthy, rather. It's okay. And look at that with the list of things you thought were healthy, and maybe they weren't quite as much as you thought. Those are that's the dualities down in hell. The human opinion world. One did seem healthier, but look at the two, and you realize neither of them completely served me or serves my real self anymore. Don't overanalyze them or judge them, but just see it for what it's worth, or that it's not worth. And then, in your heart, imagine, like Tinkerbell, the Holy Spirit takes the wand, pings it on your third eye, and down into your heart comes an awakening. I am awakening to what healthiness is. It's in my heart and soul. It's mine. It's the highest level of God that I can know today. Healthiness. If I have healthiness as my mantra, as my focal point, my focus word, my intention for life and living, healthiness, I can see the stuff from below in the past that doesn't resonate clearly. But what does now resonate? If you have this awakening called healthiness, can you say in your mind, what does that look like in your relationships, in work, in your self-care? Take a moment. What does healthiness really look like for you? Remember, it's based on your connection to God and your own self-worth. So nothing you come up with should contradict those. God and true self are at the root. And on top of that, healthy boundaries and so forth will help clarify what is healthiness. What does it look like in partnership? Even if you're single. Just see yourself smiling and feeling autonomous, interdependent, capable of sharing with somebody if you like. Because you're okay either way, because you're good. What does it look like at work? Or what does it look like in self-care? And lastly, if you really are getting a fix on this feeling, this tone, healthiness, are there areas of your life that aren't really resonating with healthiness? It's not to make you feel bad, it's to gain clarity. What areas of my life are not walking the walk? Not aligned with what I really want to be, what I want to feel. Doesn't resonate with self-worth, doesn't resonate with God's presence. Those are the things you want to see through. Think of an argument you've had with somebody in the last day, week, month. The arguing back and forth, the trying to be right, etc. Stop. Healthiness, what does that look like? And you might have insights, and that's God actually teaching you. You're downloading. When you sit back and say, what does healthiness look like? You're asking. You don't realize it. You're knocking on the door of heaven. Hello up there. I would love some guidance down here in my heart. How do I deal with somebody who's yelling or arguing with me or fighting, whatever. And you start getting these downloads. Well, first of all, in my healthiness, I have nothing to defend. I have nothing to prove. That doesn't mean I don't respectfully answer questions, but the tension's not there. You threaten to leave, but I'm okay. Somehow, in the state of healthiness, if that's what you need to do, okay. I don't try to make a life. I co-create one with God. I was trying to live from the ground up, and now I'm coming into my heart, drawing the light of God into my heart from the top down, and then shining into my life. And that life that was hell doesn't stay hell. It starts having more and more light downloaded into it to where it starts to reflect a happier and happier dream. Even hell illuminated. Because hell changes. Not because we're validating fear, angst, hell. It's because it changes. No stone left unturned. No part of my life that I'm afraid to look at and say, wait a minute, this doesn't resonate with healthiness. Well, I've got this little thing that I'm doing on the side. It doesn't resonate with healthiness. I have a gambling addiction, but my partner doesn't know about it, so it's okay, because they don't know about it. On some level, they do. I don't agree with my parents' philosophy of life. They're very hard and harsh, and they try to force it upon me. It's okay to say, I love and respect many things. I appreciate what you've shared with me. I also appreciate you feel so strongly about some things. But I need you to know that from here on, I'll hang up the phone if it gets too intense. I'll walk out of the house. If you set boundaries based on healthiness. Who do you think you are? I'm still me, but I'm focusing on healthiness. And you hold that line. You hold your center. For all this that we've seen today, heard today, learned today, shared today, absorbed today, we give sincere thanks. And so it is. Take a moment to get back into the room. In a minute, we're going to do our closing prayer, but just take a minute to come back into the room. I think I've addressed most, if not all, of the requests that were given today. Take a moment to breathe that in. Forget about trying to become cosmic. Forget about trying to become a mystic or whatever grandiose words. They're great if you can do it. Mastery, masterful. I think it's great. But please consider starting with healthiness, because that'll lead you to the others. If I try to become cosmic and I don't know how to live healthiness, I'm going to be at war with it all the time. Trying to be this cosmic thing, constantly beat up by these things. Find healthiness in your own heart and soul. What would God have me do? What would Jesus have me do? And also, what would healthiness have me do? Make sense? Thank you. All right. We're going to take up our collection, and we ask that you simply be as generous as you can be. The folks online, there's a button for you to use there. And the folks here in the room, please be as generous as you can be. We greatly appreciate any and all donations. And we definitely appreciate some of you sent a couple extra donations for Christmas and for New Year's. God bless you for that, for hearing the call and stepping up. Okay. All right, our love offering prayer. Truly believe it, truly know it, truly feel it. Together, please. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Thank you. We'll do our closing prayer in about a minute. Does anybody want to share while they're passing those around? What did you learn or hear today that made the most sense to you?
Labeling is bondage.
That's a good way to put it. Labeling is bondage. Remember, labeling puts limits on the unlimited. Imagine that. Get healthy before trying to be cosmic, right? Otherwise, your cosmic might not be so cosmic. Caustic, maybe, and not cosmic. Anyone else?
That truth from the heart is safe.
Truth from the heart is safe. Be careful. Those words, my truth, be careful, because that's a very popular, it's pop psychology and pop new agey thing. I'm just speaking my truth. You know what you should say? I'm sorry to hear that. Because the my individual is down here. I would like to speak a truth that bridges us together. Yes?
When receiving feedback on like past events, it's like, yes, I've done that, but now I'm making this choice.
Yeah, you can gather value, lessons out of past events, but where are you now? How did you do on the meditation? Were you able to see the contrast between even things you thought were healthy that weren't as healthy as you would choose today, right? It's very important. You can't really wake up to the all when you haven't woken up to yourself. You've got to learn. It's why it's an important step or steps in the 12-step program. Self-awareness, getting an inventory, get to know yourself. Stop bringing the sleeping you to partnerships and wondering why they don't go well. It's kind of a funny phrase we use, sleeping with people. Oh, I slept with them, probably. Because you're always asleep. You know, wouldn't it be interesting if we said, I awoken, with that person. I experienced an awakening with that person. Right? When you're intimate and you say, I don't know, but I'm willing to find out. Let's join. That's kind of cool. We're waking up. Hey, did you sleep with her? No, not that I know of. No. Wouldn't that be interesting if people said that? That relationship was so amazing, I never slept with them. Oh, were you celibate? No. Wouldn't it be weird? But that's this world. We're going to change words and people won't know what we're talking about. But who cares? Did I ask? Please stand. Oh, God bless you all. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I pray you have a great new year. Yeah. Join with us however you can, wherever you can. We have wonderful things that we choose here, facilitators that we choose. We're kind of selective about that. Not obsessively, specific about things, but generally, things have to resonate with happiness, healthiness. We use that as a mantra, even with who we allow to be, facilitating here. We'll slip one in every 50 events. There might be something that slips under the radar, but generally has to resonate. And I pray that you do that with all your relations, that there's a resonance. Don't label them, don't judge them. If you have to see a doctor, if you have to use the AMA, if you have to use medicines, don't label them, guys. Play the game. You're at peace and you play the game. If you do that, the medicines you take will turn to light. If you do that, the relationships you choose will turn to light. You hold the light. Don't say I can't because of the world. Instead, anchor the light, bring it to the world, and the world changes. Yes, yes. Centering into a state of gratitude. And we're affirming when we say these words. The light of God surrounds us. Right on. The people online understand in case you can't make out the words. I'm saying the light of God surrounds us, and they're affirming we are that light. So again, the light of God surrounds us.
We are the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
We are the love of God.
The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we go, God is, I am, we are, and so it is. Peace be with you all. Bye-bye.
My middle name is
With your black and white, Michael reflecting on the line, black and white, you're centered, you're sitting, and I'm right behind you. Okay, yes, I am that, I
and I do such
And today just cemented it. I know.
all nature being Yes, that's right. I've noticed
My first painting,